Did my thing shut off? Well, looks like my video shut off and restarted. So this is going to be another two-parter. So I hope that I'll be able to get through the second part of this with it working. So as we just cut off, I'm very sorry about that. We were looking at these two back plates, and we got like the matte finish on that one, and then the Gimar has a polished look on the back plate. And let's go ahead and look at that crank. So again, it is filled, and the fill appears to be a touch light. It is ever so slightly goes down right there. It should be a smooth ramp. That the plane of the filling should meet with this plane right here. They should be one smooth transition, but no, it drops down significantly. Let me grab my pick here so you can kind of see it just boom drops right down, whereas it should be level with it. So little low on the filling of the silicone fill there. It does have Novarossi date code on it of 512. Is that right? And this thing is opened up. Boy, that thing is really opened up. That hole there is huge. Got a nice fang on it. Fang comes all the way down almost. There's just a very, very, very thin metal right. It's like sharp right there. It's so thin. That fang comes right to that edge. Got our standard shark fin cut on the leading edge there. And on our trailing edge have a standard cut, and on the behind the pin got the standard cut. So all around nice crank, I would say. The window even appears to be okay. Yes, that does spin that way. If you look at the leading edge, it is, you see how the wall is thinner than on this side, that thicker wall, thinner wall right there. It spins that direction. So it's almost like knife edged, that edge right there, because that's the way it's going to be spinning. So that's the normal thickness, but it was cut down to that thickness. It's kind of, you can see right there where it's shaved. That's like almost a ramp right there. All of that section is like a ramp. This is a very nicely done crank, probably for a pretty good engine back when it was made. I don't think it was made for this engine, but whatever engine it was made for was a screamer. This is a pretty nice crank. I wish that it was filled properly, and I would be super stoked on this crank. But that won't affect really much. I'm just kind of being picky. And this thing's going to be a spinner. I'm telling you right now, this crank right here is going to be turning. Lots of flow possible with that crank. All right. Let's move on. Do we look at the head button? It does have a turbo with that wonky number 6 plug in it. And we've got no more shims on there. So we have 2 shims. They are a 1 and a 2. So it looks like a 3 millimeter total shim stack on the engine here. Where's my caliper? Let's just verify that. Oh, no, 0.35. So one of these, it's either, I think it's probably a 0.25. here, yeah, we got a 0.25 and then a 1. So we have a 0.35 millimeter shim stack on this engine. Let's take a look at that piston. It is not domed. We have one oil groove. Now that is kind of odd for a Novorossi. I don't remember ever seeing a Novorossi piston with just one oil groove on it like that. There's usually 2 or 3. And looky what we have there. Another speak of the devil. Looky what that is. All right. Now you got to hold on another sec. Boy, some of you must hate these videos. I'm so sorry. All right, now I got to tell this story. So I've had this crane. I've had this toy crane for like 20 years, right? And I keep it on a shelf, okay? And I always have something that it's holding, okay? I change it up every now and then, the thing that the crane is holding. But what do you think this crane just so happens to be holding right now? This crane just so happens to be holding a couple of vintage RB parts. This is a threaded crank that Novorossi engines used to have cranks with a hole in the end, and you would just thread on your tip. That's a threaded crank tip is what that is, old RB. And then that is an RB vintage RB number 10 connecting rod. Nope. Oh. RB number 10 connecting rod. And this right here is probably from right around 2000 or so, maybe 2000 to 2005, okay? And what do we have here but an RB number 10? Does it say 01 at the other end? It certainly does. It is the exact, that is the RB number 10 connecting rod. So this engine is made up from all kinds of parts from all over the place. Awesome. I mean, I'm not mad at it. That is a great crank. That's a great connecting rod right there. That's a top end. That's top of the line connecting rod right there. So that is the piston that's in the brand new Gimar with some vintage, comprised of vintage parts. I love it. I'm loving this engine more and more. So that's the RB number 10 rod in there. What do we have left? Let's go ahead and look. We can move my crane. I love my crane. I've had this thing for like 25 years. It sits on my shelf. It's a cheap plastic toy. It doesn't do much, but it's a time thing. Do you understand? When you've had something so long, you know what I mean, you're connected to it. I've had this thing since I was a teenager. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at this Novorossi. What's that M right there? That doesn't look familiar. I mean, maybe that M is on every Novorossi sleeve and I just never noticed it, but I don't know. It looks kind of off right there, that M in between the Novorossi and the R. So, yeah, that's your P5 sleeve, your boost port, nice angle cuts on these Schural ports, the side ports, whatever you call them. Rear, I mean, good work. I don't see, this doesn't appear to be a reject sleeve. Looks like a good sleeve. I don't see any imperfections. Got just some really nice angle cuts right on all the ports. Looking good so far. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that sleeve at all. Let's go ahead and check, see how high the piston goes. And yeah, the pinch is pretty low. That's almost SH low down there. Yeah, that thing's way down there. All right. Well, that is, we got a good look at the sleeve there. Standard Novorossi P5 sleeve. Good shape. I'm digging it. No problem. No problems here. Well, that's pretty much it. Now, it has a black O-ring instead of the standard orange O-ring that came on the Novorossi engines. Again, that head is barely just the ever so slightest little bit of countersink right there. But other than that, it sits right on top. No shine cuts in the cooling head. And some nice vintage parts, classic. Both of those are from around the same time. Those are from early 2000s. That Orion CRF carb and that RB number 10 connecting rod. Those are some very good quality vintage parts. I've almost fallen in love with this engine because of those things. I love the fact that those things were on this engine. I got a kick out of finding that stuff in here. I like that crank. That thing is going to be a monster. If this thing is balanced, it's got the right stuff. I think it's going to be a cooker. I am really looking forward to breaking this thing in and seeing how this thing performs. That is the Novorossi P5 XLT 2020 edition, Gimar edition, vintage parts edition. Thank you very much. Look forward to the next video on this Gimar. I got another one coming. This is obviously a two-parter because of my camera decided to split it up. But if you stuck around, thank you very much. See you next time. Have a good one.